Cool. So before we move on with SQL commands, do you guys have any questions from yesterday's session? So
No,
you are clear on the asset properties, right?
yes.
Okay. Kartavya, even you are clear on asset properties?
Uh, I wasn't clear, but I should listen yesterday's class first.
Okay.
No problem in that. I will check in
Sure.
the.
You go through the video, and if you have
Right.
any doubts, you have my WhatsApp number. You can ping me anytime. We can
Sure.
talk over the call, and I can explain it to you one more time, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
So sure. So let's move on with today's topic, which is SQL commands. So yesterday we discussed what is SQL, what are few data types in SQL, right? And then today we will be focusing on what is SQL commands. So SQL commands are nothing but it is the language that we use to communicate with the database. It's just like a English language that we write. So and we use these commands to give instructions to the database. So there are different types of SQL command. Specifically 5 types. The first is DDL, right? So the DDL means data definition language. So when we have a database, right, what do we do in that database? We create tables, right? And to create tables, we need this data definition language commands. So there are 5 subcategories of this DDL command, which is like create, drop, alter, and truncate. So we will pick each of them individually and see how it works when we write the queries, right? How the DDL works, how DML will work. So I will just quickly go over the 5 commands and then we will see each of them in details. So the first is data definition language. So in any database, the first thing you need to do is create tables, right? And to create tables or to do any modification in those tables or to delete those tables, you will need DDL commands. The second thing is DML, which is data manipulation language. So once you have the table ready, you need to insert some data in the table, right? Which we call as records. And after you insert some data, there might be scenarios wherein you need to update some data. You might have some inserted some data, which was not correct, and you want to update it. So for that, you will have to use update commands. And there might be some data which you want to delete from the table. So that is the delete command. So first DDL creates the table. Second DML, you can insert records in the table. You can update the records in the table, and you can delete the records in the table, right? So that is data manipulation language, which in short is called as DML. So then there is DCL. DCL is data control language, right? So now you have created a table, and let's suppose Parikshit has created a table, right? And he doesn't want Kartavya to access that table. So he can, grant access to himself on the table, and he can revoke the access from Kartavya, from that particular table. So that those level of control is being done using DCL. So there are only 2 data control language commands, which is grant and revoke. And as the name say grant, it means you grant the access to someone for your tables. And as the name says as revoke, it means you can revoke the access from a particular user from your table, right?
It means read and write operations, right?
Not read and write operation. It means the access part.
Okay.
Means you have a table
Permissions.
permissions. Yeah, it's more of a
Okay.
permissions, correct? So you
Okay.
won't be able to access any table which Parishit has created if he doesn't give you the grant permission, right?
Right.
So then we have the TCL command, which is transaction control language, right? So when we do any DML in any of the tables, right, we are inserting some record, and until and unless you commit those records, that will not be permanently saved in database, right? Because somebody inserted some data and you mistakenly deleted some data from the table, which you did not want to do, right? So what will happen? Data loss will be happening, right? So this transaction control language takes care of that. So until and unless you commit your DML command, it will not save the changes in the database, in the table, right? So in scenarios wherein you're sure like whatever changes you have made, like whatever inserts you have done, whatever updates you have made, and whatever deletes you have made are all fine, then you can confidently go and do a commit on the database, which will save the changes at the table level, right? In case you deleted some data, by mistake, and you don't want to save that deletion record deletion transaction in the tables, you just do a rollback, right? What will rollback do? It will just point to the previous state in which the table was. Means it will look like nothing was deleted at all, right? So that is commit and rollback. So, and the last one is, and the most common use is DQL, which we call as data query language. So you have created a table, you have inserted some records in the table. Now you want to see the contents of the table. So what do you use? You use the DQL, right? Which is a select command. And this is the most widely used command when you work on any of the fields related to SQL. So on a high level, you guys are clear on these 5 SQL commands?
Yeah, actually, I have just query regarding TCL. Like while we're doing committing, you are saying like suppose it is apply like it's applied to creation of table or database or like inserting of record or deletion of record.
No. This TCL will apply only for DML
Okay,
statements. DDL
manipulate.
will automatically create the tables, it will commit in database, right? So
Okay,
only for data manipulation language, there will not be any auto commit that is happening.
okay.
For everything else, there will be auto commit.
Okay, so data manipulating, like it's not an auto commit.
It's not auto commit, no.
Okay, like suppose whatever we write the code, like whatever we write the query, like between them we need to use a data manipulating language, and at the end, if we roll back or commit, then it will apply something like that. Correct?
Right. So what we do in case of stored procedures, right? We generally, after each of the statement, we write a commit statement,
Okay, okay.
right? So we know like data is committed in the database. And
Okay.
there are few other database management systems like Teradata, Netezza, and all, where it is auto commit. So anything that you do, any DML that you do, gets saved in the database directly. But then there is a different rollback mechanism for that. So they have something called as flashback, right? So you can directly. This concept is same. Commit and rollback is same in every place. Just in some databases, the rollback commands will be different. Somewhere it will be rollback, somewhere it will be flashback. That's the difference. Concept-wise, everything is same, right? And DML is not a auto commit in case of SQL Server or Oracle, right? You have to specifically mention commit.
Data only deleted and not table and database, right?
No, only data will be deleted.
Yeah.
So DDL takes care of all the table related thing. You can create a table, you can drop a table. So drop a table means you are deleting a table, right?
Okay.
We will see this now. So if you, on a high level, if you are clear, we'll move on to each of these topics in details. So shall we proceed?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay. What happened? My system got hanged. Okay, no problem. So this is the DDL commands, right? We have create command, we have alter command, we have drop command, and we have truncate command. My screen is visible, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, now we will look for the create command and we will check for the syntax, right? The syntax goes like this: create table. These are the keywords for SQL, and you can give any table name that you want to create, right? Create table name. In next line, let's give a brackets, and then what we need to give here is the field name. Field name, and what comes next? Data type, right? And you can have multiple columns in table. Field name, and let's say, and data type.
That is column name, field name.
Field name is column name. Yeah, you can call it field name, you can call it column name. In some companies, they will say it fields, in some companies,
Attributes
columns.
also.
Attributes also, yeah. So you can say field name, column name, or attributes, right? So these are the names that you can call. So this is the syntax to create any of the table, right? And let's check this out now. So we'll go to the SQL server. We'll create a table employee. So what is the syntax? we write create table. Table name is employees. All right, let's give the opening and close braces so that you don't miss it. Right. So what can be the attributes? First will be employee ID. Let's make it integer. Okay, so then we'll keep employee name. Let's keep it worker 50. What else can we have? Employee age. We can make it integers. Let me just give underscores. Right. So we ran this command and we have our table created. Right. So this is the create command. So the next command. Yeah.
Sorry, we
Yeah.
usually use int in MS SQL servers. Like we can use integer as well.
Yeah, you can use integer, you can use int, everything works. It's all same. These are
Okay.
just annotations, right? So this was on the create part. So after creating the table, next statement is alter statement. So alter table is used to modify a table, right? So that means you can add columns, public attributes. You can delete columns, or you can modify data type, modify or rename a column, right? So these are the things that we can do using alter statement. And apart from that, we can do many more things, like we can add constraints to the table. So all these things can be taken care by the alter statements. So the alter statement is basically used to do any modifications to a particular table. Let's check that, right? We have this employee table. Right? So what do we want to do now? We only have the attributes like employee ID, employee name, and employee age. Let's say we want to add some other values to this. What can we add to this table? Employee gender is something we can add. Employee
Employee
phone.
role,
Yeah, tell me. Employee.
employee role or designation.
Okay, designation. Okay, and let's add phone number. Right. So we will add 3 columns to the table. So the syntax goes like this: alter table name, which is employees, right? What do we want to do? We want to add column. So we just mention add. First column is gender, all right? We'll just keep gender. What will be the data type of gender?
Car,
Character,
car,
right?
car 6 or something.
Let's say car 6, all right? And we just execute this statement. So now let's do a select star from employees. So what is the select command? We discussed it, right? This is also a
Yes,
command.
query language.
Yeah, this is data query language. So this we use to
Retrieve the data.
retrieve the data from a particular table,
Fetch.
fetch or retrieve anything, right?
Yes.
So now you see we have this gender column added, right? This is when you add a single column. How do you add multiple columns at a go, right? This one is add a single column. Next command that we will see is to add multiple columns. All right. So again, syntax will be alter table table name, which is employees. We have to add designation and phone number. Designation. What will be designation? It will be a varchar field, and let's make it 20, right? And what else we need to add? Phone number. Phone number. Data type for this?
Number, it will be the we can consider as a int, teeny int or int.
Any int कैसे होगा? How will it be?
Yeah,
Because
it will be int. Sorry.
Let's keep it big int. It will be 10 digit, right?
10 digit, yes.
Let's make it big int. And now let's try to execute the statement.
And there is numeric as well.
Numeric is for decimal values. It will store point. Phone number में decimal नहीं हो सकता, right? We cannot have phone number like 91000.00. This doesn't look good, all right?
Okay.
So now let's select from this employee tables and see how many columns we have. Do you see the designation and phone number got added?
Yes.
Right. So this is one way to use alter command. Now other way is to delete a column from this particular table. Let's say we don't want that column e-gender. What do? We again use alter table name, which is employees. Next, it will be drop column. You notice one thing while dropping a column. I mentioned this drop column statement specifically, right? But while adding, I did not do that.
Yeah, because we need to, like, what we want to do, we are specifying.
No, that's not the reason. Even we can give that in, while adding column also. But that is, by default means it takes column.
Okay.
But you can just add also. So, and let's see if my SQL supports this or not. E gender हो गया and phone number हो गया. Let's say department we give in character 6. Okay, so SQL Server doesn't support column. It takes by default column. It takes. Okay, but if you use some database like Oracle, the syntax will be different. I will show you that syntax also. So this one is to delete a column from the table. So we are writing alter table name, drop column. Which one do we drop? We drop e-gender, right? So if you look here, we don't need to specify data type. We just need to specify the column name because the column is already created, right? We just need to drop it now.
Sisendo,
Yeah.
he wants to join in class.
Oh, sorry,
Ali.
I made him. Okay, I think he joined. So we ran this command and we dropped this column e-gender. So one thing to notice, we don't have to specify data type of the particular column when we drop the column because it is already created in the table, right? Now let's do a select star on this table and check again. You see, we don't see the e-gender anymore. Clear till this point?
Yes.
Now let's drop multiple columns. I'll just write drop because deletion will be confusing if you read some. So for table level DDL, it's always create for create, drop for deletion, right? We just need drop. So we'll use drop a column. So drop multiple column. So anyone want to try the syntax? What it will be?
Same as how to drop a single column.
Yeah, tell me the syntax. Alter table.
Alter table employees drop column name e designation.
While dropping, we have to specifically
column.
specify column keyword. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we'll drop designation and phone number.
Yeah.
And next,
If on column, if no need to mention again, right? Column.
no,
Okay.
right? So let's run this command and see. So it ran fine, and let's execute. So now we are back to the 3 columns which we created the table originally, right? All clear till this point?
Yeah.
Now there is a catch here. You know, the alter table command is a bit tricky. So it varies from database to database. So the ones that we just saw now works well for SQL Server. If somebody is using Oracle, right? In companies, you might have different databases. Somebody will be using Oracle. I'll show the syntax how to use here, right? It's same. Alter table employees, add column e-gender, character 6. This is when you add one column. Okay. Next, I'll show you how to add multiple columns. Add column. You just do like this. Destination. 20. Right. So this is how the syntax looks like in Oracle. Small change. You have to give the column keyword while adding the column. For one column, you just specify the column name and the data type. For multiple columns, use a bracket and put all the columns that you want to add inside the bracket, right? So this is the only change. And similarly, while dropping the table, it will be the same. You just have to write similar commands. Instead of add, you will write drop. This part for single drop is exactly same as SQL Server. And here the drop command becomes inside bracket. You just remove data types from here, right? So the basic alter syntax remains same. Alter table, table name. Till add and drop, it's same. After that, it changes based on the database that you are using, right? Clear till this point?
Yes.
So if somebody has installed Oracle in their system, you can use this particular commands. And if somebody is using MySQL Server, they can use this command. And if somebody is using SQLite, the syntax again changes a bit. Let me show you for that also. So even though syntax changes, one thing to remember, this remains same, right? E-gender till add, everything is same. Add column e-designation varchar. And I think Kartavya mentioned like we don't have to add the add column part again. But in case of SQLite, you have to add it, right? To add multiple columns, you have to specify add column multiple times. Like alter table employees, add column e-designation varchar 20, and then add column e-phone number begin. So this is on SQLite. Drop table remains same. All clear till this point?
Yes.
Parshit?
Yes.
Okay, so now we created a table. We altered a table. So for altered table, we had the syntax alter table name, then add drop, right? For drop, we will specifically have drop column. So let's say add column also, depending on data type, and then
Column name.
column name or attribute name, and data type. This is the general syntax. For multiple columns, we'll show the syntax again. So clear on the alter part. Now let's move on to the drop part, right? So before we move on to the drop part, I want to show you the truncate part. right? So truncate is what? Truncate deletes all records
From a
from a
table.
table, right? Let's see how it works. We have this table employees. Let's insert some data into that. Values, employee ID is integer. Let's make it 1. Employee name, let's make it
It will delete all the records from a table or particular
all the
records.
records from a table. So that is an interview question, like what is the difference between, truncate and delete?
Okay.
So I will explain you what is the difference in a bit, right? On XYZ employee ID 2. So let's quickly insert these 2 records in the table. Let's do a select star from employees. So you see we have two records in this table. Now let's see the third command, which is truncate command. This deletes all entries from a table, right? So syntax is truncate, truncate table name. Okay, so now let's do a select star from this table. You see there are no records, right? Everything got deleted. So now there was a question from Kartavya, like will it delete specific records or all the records? So you can see it deleted all the records, right? All entries from a table. So now there is a interview question that comes up, right? What is the difference between delete and truncate? So, and which is faster, right? Difference, okay, let me not write here. Difference between delete and truncate, and which is faster, right? So for now, I'm just telling you truncate and delete both is same if you want to delete all the entries from a table, right? In delete, you have an option to add a filter, like you can delete specific records from a table, or you can delete some particular records from the table based on your filter criteria, or you can delete all the records. But from truncate, it will always delete all the records from the table, right? And to the answer, which is faster, delete or truncate? Truncate is faster.
Truncate.
Yeah, truncate will be faster, right? And why truncate is faster, I will answer in a bit, right? So clear on the truncate table syntax?
Yes.
So syntax is truncate table name. That's it, nothing else. Okay, now let's move on to the drop table. So drop table deletes the table itself from database, right? It will just delete your table. Syntax is same, drop table name, right? Let's check it out. So we have this table. So if you are making notes, just make a note of this question in your notes. This will definitely come in interview. Very commonly asked questions. Okay, truncate command. No, it was drop command. So it's like drop table employees. So it will delete the table also. So in the left side now you see this employees table. After we execute this command, it should vanish. See, the employee table is not there. And now if I run this select command, it says invalid object name employees because the table does not exist. Right? Clear on drop command?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So truncate table deletes all the entries from the table. Drop command deletes the table itself. Right. So this is on the DML part. These are all the DML commands that we need to know. My PDF is hanged. Let me just try to open it again. Okay. So we looked at all the DDL commands. So which are create, alter, drop, and truncate. Right. So I have given the syntax here, general syntax. So clear on this before we move on to DML.
Yes.
Right. So now we move on to data manipulation language. So till now we saw, statements like inserting into a table, creating a table, dropping a table, deleting all the entries of a table, and adding and dropping few columns from the table. Now, once the table is created, so mostly our table was empty at this point, right? If I select star from employees now, we don't see any data because it was all data definition language. We defined the table structure here. Now we need to make some entries in this table. So for that, we need data manipulation language, which we call as DML, right? So the DML commands are used to modify the database, and it is responsible for all form of changes in the database, right? See, the DML command is not auto-committed, which I discussed earlier, right? For the TCL part, when you do a DML, it will not be auto-committed in most of the cases, right? Which means it will not permanently save the changes that you do, right? So if you mistakenly deleted some record, it is not going to save in database until and unless you specifically type commit, right? So if you know you have made a mistake, you can just do a rollback. It will revert back everything, right? So that's the reason, since this is very important operation, because you don't want anyone to update your table by mistake, or what happens if you just delete all the records from a production table? It will be a mess, right? So we are very cautious when we do this kind of DML operations in any of the tables. So we need to make sure like we are fully, aware of what we are doing so that we don't make any mistakes. And just to avoid that, the transaction control language was introduced, which contains commit and rollback, right? So in DML, there are three specific commands. First is insert command, which will be used to insert records in a table. Second will be update command, which will be used to update some entries in a table. And third will be delete command, which will be used to delete some entries from a table, right? So the difference between truncate and delete, which I was talking about, right? So if you see the delete statement, it's like delete from table name with a where condition in bracket, right? This is an optional condition. So when you give a delete command without this where condition, it deletes all the entries from the table, and this is similar to truncate. Agreed? You guys are clear on this part?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So if we do a delete without the where condition, it is similar to truncate. So in this case, why is truncate faster and delete slower, right? That is the question that will come to your mind. So truncate is faster because it will just delete all the entries from the table. But what delete will do, it will delete records one by one. So if there are like 1 million records in a table, truncate deletes all the 1 million records at one go. Delete will be slowly deleting one by one record after one record, right? So that will be taking longer time. And truncate deletes in bulk. Clear on the answer why truncate is faster than delete?
Yeah. Yes, Sindhu. Actually, as per I know, truncate if you delete all the records and we cannot roll back, right?
Yes, because
As a delete.
that is a DDL operation, so you cannot roll back. Right.
Okay. But
So
delete we can roll back.